No, that's okay. Because I don't think everyone's not going to work.
Why?
Well, it's just a signature box. I mean, I could be signing anyway.
Yeah, but it just gets attached to the minutes. All right, we'll do something different. I do that with every other board.
Okay, but I've, in my business life and all that, I was told never to do that. So
All right.
I was told by the law department. Okay, I got 7:02, and I'm gonna call the meeting of the library board to order. First official.
Yeah, it's on.
No, but nobody else is.
Oh.
Catherine texted, she said she's running a few minutes late.
Oh,
and she's
okay.
gonna jump online.
Okay.
Is Susie coming in?
I've not heard.
Okay.
So she could end up joining this too,
Possibly.
or coming in, we don't
Possibly.
So.
Okay, the first official act is to welcome our newest member. Congratulations to us for having you as part of the committee. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Very pleased to be here.
That's great. And I guess we should all reintroduce ourselves. I'm Mark Springfield. John, you want to tell her who you are again?
Nice to see you again. I know we met, a week or so ago? Anyway, John Solomon,
Yes.
the director, is still new. I'm going to play the new card for a long time.
I'm Cynthia Keller, board member.
I'm not here.
And I'm Jeff Reasoner with the department. Brianna was also appointed, but I believe she's on vacation until next week.
That's what Tracy told me.
Can you hear us okay, Susie? Yes?
Are you muted? You're muted?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
No.
now,
Right now, we can't, yeah.
Okay.
And you just had an opportunity to meet Jamie, the new member of the library board, you know, Susan.
We have
Okay.
met online.
Yes, yeah, during the interviews, yeah.
Okay, we've got one more coming in when Catherine is able to connect. Seeing no one from the public here, I assume we have no public comments. Approval of minutes from 11:14, 11:21, and 12:19.
So, right, I think we approved one of the November ones last month, but I'm struggling right now, which was, it was the special meeting that we needed to approve. And unfortunately, I'll have to push that one more month.
Well, if I relent and sign these things.
Oh.
We'll be good. I'll catch up with you and we'll type it on there or get that on there somewhere.
But for purposes of discussion, my memory had the 11:14 meetings being amended.
Mm-hmm.
The 11:21 we held off because we didn't have a hard copy or something to sign.
Yeah, well, yes, so my understanding is we had voted to approve the normal 11:21 meeting, but we just didn't have the hard copy to sign.
That's correct. And then let's see, well, we have a quorum. Is there a motion to accept the 12:19 meeting minutes? I'll make a motion.
And
You'll probably
I'll
have to
second.
approve. All in favor? Okay, so that's passed, so we can sign that one too as well. So then let's move on and do our reports and information. John, we'll have you come up. There were a couple items that we specifically asked you to talk about, so we can either cover them off during your normal presentation or pick them up at the end, your preference.
yeah, just through the regular, wherever I would come in. So,
Okay.
now or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have anything for us of a routine nature you want to get in front of the group?
As far as the sorter goes, there shouldn't be any change to the last time. That's actually happening on Monday. So we're getting an automated sorter, materials handling, you know what I'm talking about.
Last month, John, it was stuck in customs, so I don't know
Right,
that.
so maybe, okay, it did get held up, so that's, it's on track now. So they will be coming in on Monday, which is handy because we are closed. So a lot of the initial noise and construction will happen that day. They have to, of course, put holes in 2 different walls, one that's in the lobby here through a concrete wall and one exterior so that materials can be returned from the outside. And then, of course, the assembly and installation of the sorter. And that we anticipate, or they estimated taking, I want to say 2.5 weeks. To play it safe, we have extended all due dates for materials returned up through February 6th. We're trying to discourage returns just to make it easier for everybody. But while we're open, we can certainly accept them. Just not in the outside drops on the east side will be closed when the library is closed, which is not normally what we do. So you can only return during open hours. But we put out a press release and some information about that to encourage the public to just hang on to their stuff. It's not
My
gonna go
wife
overdue.
got your
Yeah.
information.
Good. So we're very excited about this. It's been a long-standing project. I'm only coming in at the end. And so we've obviously got through customs, and the last I heard it was sitting in Denver waiting to come up here on Monday.
Okay, great.
So that's good.
Let me give you a lead in on this next one.
All right.
I'm sure people have been reading in the paper that Boulder has discovered a methamphetamine issue in their library. And it's also my understanding from reading the newspaper that they've shut down their restrooms and are limiting future use. And I'm not sure what they're gonna do about their transient population and how to control that. When I read it, it just struck me that, wait, we could have the same thing up here without a lot of imagination to envision how that could occur. And it's probably a city issue because it probably affects every building that's open to the public. But since we're only here talking about the library, I thought we should at least ask you what your thoughts were and where you want to take that.
Well, I mean, certainly I was aware of Boulder and other, it's come up in some other places, both in and outside of Colorado, so.
Yeah, I think it's an able.
Yeah, speaking of which. So what we are doing just out of really abundance of caution is to have some testing done here, not knowing if there's any drug use or not, but it just seems like if it's around in the county or elsewhere, we ought to just do it and see. So I think that's getting arranged for maybe next week.
We're at least
Is that
meeting
right?
with the
Or
company.
we're meeting with the company that
Yeah.
would do it, someone from Boulder.
Is that citywide or is that just the library?
Just for the library
Just
right now.
Okay, and then, do you know whether if you find something, how expensive that is to remediate? Is it cheap to remediate? I mean, they were talking some large dollars in Boulder, I think.
I think it would be expensive if that comes back that way.
Well,
I do have something to contribute here. I work for County Public Health, and so I know about this incident with Boulder Public Library from a different angle. And one thing that I know has come up a lot is that if we suspect or we're interested in finding out more about how methamphetamine use might be impacting this library, it might be a good idea to reach out to somebody at Public Health and just have an initial conversation. My understanding, and I'm not on the front lines by any means, but what has been discussed in my presence was that that conversation did not happen in Boulder. They went full throttle with testing and remediation. It was perhaps unnecessarily expensive, in regard to the levels that were found to be present. So just to cover all bases, if this is a path that we're going to go down, it might be a good idea to talk to somebody at public health. And I could find out who, what division or who that would be, but to avoid getting locked into a certain process and expenditures that may or may not be warranted depending on the levels that are present.
From your experience with Boulder County Health, do you have any feel for how costly the remediation is for this sort of thing?
So I just know from reading what was in the media, the reporting on Boulder County Library, that the remediation was in excess of $200,000.
That's kind of a number that sticks in my head.
And they're locked into now a schedule of retesting and, I don't know, some kind of maintenance or upkeep. I don't know what the plans are specifically for the bathrooms, but the levels might not have been high enough they just went very heavy into it.
So what I read was that they were gonna shut down some restrooms, and they were gonna come up with a system where they limited access or controlled access to the others that they were gonna allow the public to use. But I don't have any more information than that they were working on a strategy to somehow control ingress and egress or whatever of people into the restroom so they can figure out whether they had problem patrons or not.
I think security is part of that conversation too with Boulder, whether or not they would hire somebody who would be a security presence and perhaps rotate through the restrooms to just see what was going on.
Anything else?
No, I mean, that's good information, but
Yeah.
Jeff and risk management here arranged a conversation next week with somebody.
Yeah, the same company that had done their testing. But I will share tomorrow with Risk your suggestion about Boulder County Public Health.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys are on it. I think it's probably potentially a bigger issue than just the library, unfortunately. Do you have anything more for us, John?
No, not outside of those two.
John, I have a question. Actually, is there any updates on getting rid of fines?
Yes.
Is that in process right now, or is that still, or like, is that enacted, or is that still in process, or kind of what's the status on that?
So it's enacted.
Okay.
That began officially January 1st. So we no longer charge overdue fines. They're no longer assessed.
And we're working on a marketing plan to get that information out.
Yeah.
There are some other things we had to address within the city system before we were ready to do that, but after the 31st of December, we're not charging.
Great.
But we are going to make a push about that to let people know.
Anything else for John? We're from John? Okay, I'll move on. Friends, was there a Friends meeting?
I'm not getting any information.
I don't think there was. Their next one is the 26th. It's a retreat / meeting, which was something that got pushed back from December. I don't think they've had a meeting in between.
Okay.
But I can tell you they've scheduled a book sale.
For
It's
now to the 20.
well, it's going to be the weekend of February 15th, I want to say. I can update on that. Or
Well, if we are able to get someone at the 26th meeting, that should be.
I will be there,
You'll be there?
yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Take good notes. Okay, I'll move on then. Susie, do you have anything for us?
Just wanted to throw it out there that next Tuesday is our open forum during council. 5 minutes per speaker, and the whole session is dedicated to public input. The other thing, we were supposed to have a legislative dinner with Representative McCormick and Senator Hawkins Lewis, but they both, I think one was only able to stay for a short amount of time and was going to be joining virtually, and the other one, she double booked. So we decided that since it's the whole council meeting with the two legislators, that we would postpone until we could have them both there the entire time. And again, the topics that we were going to be discussing and we will address, law enforcement reforms, so criminal justice, mental health, housing affordability, help for the unhoused, the climate crisis, free school, gas and oil. So we're covering a myriad of topics. And then the other one was we were looking at the draft and we provided Sandy Cedar with our input for our retreat, which will occur, it will be 2 days, March 10th and the 11th, Friday and Saturday. And we will be looking at our work plan, our goals and outcomes, and just setting future goals. And does anyone have any questions for me? And if I forgot anything.
Well, I don't know that you forgot anything, but I had a question, and I'm not
Yes.
sure whether to bring it up now or under the old business. But it relates to discussion that the council had with the feasibility consultant and with city staff about the need to canvass the public, and I think the city was going to work on proposed questions to go forward and try and solicit the community's thoughts on the library. Have you heard anything more on that?
I have not, but I can definitely ask. I think it would have been through Sandy.
I think Sandy ended up with the ball on that, but
Yes.
whether she
I
kept
can,
it
you know
or
what,
not, I
let
don't
me
know.
write this down so I don't forget.
Yeah,
I will follow up with Sandy and see where we're at with that.
I was told earlier this week that they are working on those, and I didn't have a date, but I'm assuming it'll be soon that they'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I would imagine if she hears from you, Susie, that'll help move
Okay.
Yeah.
it forward on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other shoe to drop on that is that we had talked as a group about hopefully being able to participate in either reviewing the questions or commenting on them, trying to provide additional input to the city with respect to the library.
So are you talking about actually helping devise the questions, or once the?
I personally would be happy just critiquing what was already there.
What was already, okay.
That's me personally. I don't see. Cynthia's shaking her head yes as well.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I will. I'll send out an email to Sandy and find out, or put in a call.
That'd be great.
Yeah, of course.
I don't have anything more for you, Susie. Does anybody else have anything they want to get your input on? So I think you're off the hook then.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of skip around the agenda because I want to do the old business before we do these items designated as new business. And the primary discussion point, and it's really a carryover from our last meeting, is the city's cultural and rec initiative. Can one of you guys help us out? Where are we at on this thing?
We're in the same exact spot we were at last month's meeting. And trust me, I was very excited to get to come tonight to share that.
Well, trying to speak in a very nice way, it is hard to see that the city is serious about this. I mean, this is a big initiative for this year, and nobody seems to be taking it seriously.
I hear you.
Susie, I think we need your help on this one too.
Yeah.
I mean, and this
I
one
actually
just
have a
does.
meeting. I'm gonna set up a meeting with Harold on other topics, and I will add this on as well.
I mean, we're not the only ones screaming to have this done, I would hope. Considering the wide swath of the community this is affected by. But certainly the library is very anxious to understand what its future might look like under this proposal, and we're just not getting this thing moved at all. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, Jeff, but there are timelines that the county imparts on this process that if you wait too long, you'll miss those dates.
For the district, the county doesn't set, the city council has till August to set the election for the city.
I thought that this county had to improve the language on it.
They might have to, I'm not aware of that, I don't.
I thought that's what Boulder had to do. Boulder had to get their approval on the language for the.
For the special district, because it was that really became
Well, they're
they
the
don't.
same. It's the same. It's April. It's the first round. That's when the city first looks at it, and it's the same for your new tax or for district.
That's
And then-
news to me,
and
I've
then
never heard that.
And then August is when it actually has to be done.
Right. So Susan,
All I know is that of an August due
Yes.
date
that's what
to
I
have
was.
that. That was the month that stuck out in my head, and I'm trying to think of other initiatives that we had. The tax increase for the water, the storm drain, and I was not aware, or it was not conveyed to us that we had to have anything submitted to the county as far as for this kind of tax. And I'm assuming that this initiative, it's a tax increase, just like the storm drain.
Yeah.
So, but then I will also ask Harold. that
Right,
question.
I'm not sure you're wrong, but I would think on something this big, the city would want to have legal weigh in and help with this milestone mapping
Right.
to say what needs to be done when. Otherwise, it's just another indication that the city's really not serious if they're not engaging your
City-
resources to make it happen.
The city is meeting with legal counsel on language, what questions can be combined, and how the wording would be done. I know that's happening. The city has an attorney that they use and get guidance for all of their elections.
Okay.
So Mark, my understanding, you were in the Boulder, for a special district, that language did have to be turned into a county.
It's my understanding that the county had to approve the language on the ballots. That was my understanding.
Okay, so if there was a citizen movement for a district, then that would not, those timelines would not, that timeline would be different than the city timeline. Am I getting?
Well, no, I think the timeline to get the information on the ballots is the same for the party.
When we had the election for the pool and ice 3 years ago, I don't remember having any conversation with the county of them approving our ballot question. Their involvement is the city working together to have the joint ballot so that the city's not sending out something and the county it's one effort together.
Well, I'm willing to admit that I don't have all the information on this, but again, I go back to the comments that if it's that important to the city, you would expect it to be all hands on deck for this to be successful. I'm just telling you because you're the only one I'm here to tell that represents that part of the city. The other thing that I wanted to resurrect is this. We had talked about this last meeting, which was how do we protect the library going forward? And I think you were making the case, Jeff, that it had to be dollars on the ballot going to the voters, like X number of dollars for the library in perpetuity or however. And the concern there was that circumstances change, and that might either be overly generous or not generous enough with respect to the library and the funding that the library needs to go forward. So I was just trying to think through other potential strategies where you didn't have to name the dollar amount, but you could still indicate a magnitude and for ballot purposes, an estimate given current circumstances. So instead of we need $10 million, we would say we need X millage at this given present circumstances. But at least with like a millage number or a percentage number, that would vary some with circumstances.
And as values go up of houses.
Right, and if the city is tied into this strategy of trying to use sales tax dollars, they could also peg sales tax increases in just decimal terms, and you could accomplish the same thing. Because if things go bad for the city and sales revenues are down, then consequently funding would be down, but
and again, I'm not an expert in this. I think that becomes a different question as compared to you ask X to build a branch library and Y to operate it. So what I would like to offer up is inviting Becky Doyle, who is one of the financial people involved with this, with the city, have her come to your meeting in February to hear your comments, and she's in a better place to be able to explain how property tax or sales tax, those kind of things work. And maybe I invite Jim Golden as well, the Chief Financial Officer.
Well, we would certainly appreciate the education.
Yeah.
It might be also good to hear from legal as to what the restrictions are in terms of putting dollars on ballots.
Right.
Whether there's somebody from legal there or not for the meeting.
My guess is probably not somebody from legal, because for the question, the city is paying an outside attorney to deal with that. And that's an expert in giving guidance for elections.
Do you know who that is?
Not for sure.
Is it Setter?
No.
So they haven't hired anybody from the outside on this.
They've been working with an individual.
The one from Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one they've used for everything though, not just this.
Well, but he has specific, we work with him every time that we have an election.
Yeah, I don't know about this thing.
Well, okay. I mean, it's great for us. I would think without usurping your authority, Susie, that it's something council would want to hear from too. I mean, if the city and council are serious about this initiative, there ought to be things happening, and that doesn't seem to be the case. As I said, it's a
it's communicating that out to the public as well. So that's, how can we kind of give updates to the community as far as where the process is? I'm sure that could be done. I'll have to talk to Harold, just I don't wanna like commit staff without knowing what your workload is at this point exactly. But I think just even putting something on the website or just having that little basic community that people could come in and check.
Well, I was thinking of something that Aaron, I think, mentioned when you all discussed the feasibility study, which was trying to build community support, not just from the library, but for all the interested parties in the overall tax initiative. And if you wait till the last minute, that's not very indicative of building a successful strategy to get this thing passed. Nobody will know about it and everybody will vote against it. That's all I got.
And Susie, yes, Park and Rec Board and the Senior Services Board feel the same way.
Okay.
So we're not crazy.
It's just best that I not say anything.
Either way. Okay, does anybody else have any other thoughts on this particular item?
No, I mean, once again, I don't think we can express any type of support or any response until we have more information.
Okay, we all await what's your input, Jeff?
I apologize. That is not what I wanted to come here and say tonight, but it's honest truth.
Well, it puts pressure on you and your department as well.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, and all your colleagues. It's just needless delay, in my opinion. I'll move on. Longmont Library District, once again, they're going to wait. They have been waiting. I'm not sure whether that'll change given the delay in circumstances with what the city's doing. But today they've been trying to observe what's been going on. Item D is election of officers in February. We talked a little bit about this last meeting, that by the bylaws, there should be an election next month now that we have new members seated. That's a heads up. There'll be chair, vice chair, secretary, and depending on how we decide to do the Friends of the Library, could be a rep there as well. So this is the spoiler alert. I'm not going to be here for February.
Okay.
So the meeting, I believe, would fall on the holiday again. Am I thinking that's right?
It's the what Monday?
It's supposed to be the 20th, I think.
Is that
I
President's
mean,
third-
is it the third Monday?
President's
Is that a
Day.
holiday?
Yeah, it's President's Day.
So if we did this same thing again in February where we met on the Thursday before that, would you be back for that? Or could we set it at a different time during the month where you would be here? Because I think we gotta move it anyway.
Well, it's great that you're willing to accommodate that. And that was really, I think, part of your issue under new business. But
No, it's a whole different,
that's fine.
so it is, the 20th is President's Day.
Is this building closed? That doesn't affect me personally. President's
It's
Day.
a city
It
holiday.
is a city
It's a
holiday.
city
Okay.
holiday, yep.
So,
Okay, so for me to be in attendance, we would have to do it before the 17th.
So Thursday the 16th, like we did this month?
I can do Thursday the 16th.
Cynthia, does that work for you?
Yeah, I can do that.
Catherine, does that work for you?
I couldn't hear it exactly. Could you say it again? The Thursday what?
February 16th?
So,
February 16th,
oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Double checking. Thursday nights are not as good for me as I thought they were, hence my tardiness tonight, so sorry about that. But I can probably do something similar where as long as it can be hybrid, I can get on as soon as I can.
I can do the 15th too, if the 15th is better.
I can do the 15th.
Can't really hear you, sorry.
15th, is 15th better? Does it work for you, Jamie? 15th, any better, Catherine?
Double checking. I think so, but I don't want to say yes and then mess up. 15th is better, but you don't have to change it for me if the 16th is better for
No,
others.
we're changing it for everybody.
Yeah.
So, I'll make a motion that we move February's meeting from the 20th to the 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's unanimously carried. So, we were talking a second ago about you bringing people to February's meeting. Hopefully this is compatible.
Yeah, because I haven't talked to anybody.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I'll have to work with you on the agenda as to how you want to do that. But, great.
Mark, can we go back to elections quickly?
Sure.
I received an email letting me know that Stacy will be here in February taking notes for the board. I wasn't sure if anyone had more detail about that or if that's a permanent change and if we need a secretary moving forward in this board.
Yeah, I talked to Tracy about that, and I think it makes sense, and it's in her role and her purview to be the secretary for this board. I didn't want to implicate her this week because I just talked to her on Monday. But going forward, she will be attending and record minutes and all that, and I think that's going to make more sense. That way, you're not trying to record and participate, or whoever else might be doing it.
Great.
So that's true.
How does everybody feel about that?
Personally, I think that's
Who's
wonderful.
Who's Stacy?
It's Tracy Steele, and she's the library's administrative assistant. And generally, that type of thing would be in a role of Tracy. So she was agreeable to that. So.
Thanks, John. From my perspective, I would be in favor of that.
That was the model used on the last board that I was participating with.
In every board I've ever been on to, there's usually a staff member that's the recording secretary.
And for that reason, so that
Yeah.
members could fully participate.
Okay, well, if, I don't know if I need to pass a motion on that, because it's adverse to the bylaws as they exist for this committee, which doesn't mean anything other than the fact that the bylaws need to be changed, but.
Which they need to be updated. It's been quite a while.
Hasn't been that long. How long's quite a while?
10 years.
No, we updated them a couple of years ago.
I didn't get the newest version.
Well, they're secret.
What I do for other boards is I try
Super secret bylaws.
try to have them looked at least every 3 years.
Okay, I think it's been within 3 years, but were you on the board when we did that?
No, so it must be right at 3 years or, so I think I've been on this board, oh my gosh, COVID threw me in terms of time. I think I've been on this board 3 years or 4 years at this point.
Did we do that while you were here? No? Okay, well, I'm sure it hadn't been that long. But. Okay, but it sounds like that will be a healthy effort as well, considering the change in the secretary position.
The bigger question is how do we haze new members if we can't make them take minutes?
I'll let you bring that up next meeting. You know, on a serious side, that I don't know whether you all feel the same way about it, but I felt that I learned a lot being forced to take the minutes as a member, because now I needed to force myself to understand what the issues were, and it kind of helped me remember some of the give and take in the discussions and that, but you know, that's just me. And well, Tracy will have that knowledge now.
Well, you can still take notes for yourself if that helps you retain.
It's not exactly the same. Writing for the public and writing for myself are okay.
Gotta be able to read it, right?
Well,
You're trying to make it make sense for everybody, not just yourself, right? It's a different thing.
which is not easy. Okay, so I'll move on then. I think we've covered off the elections of the officers for February. And we're now under your items for new business.
Yep.
Jeff, John, you guys want to talk about that?
Yep, I'll do that. So every January, each one of the advisory boards are asked to, by motion, designate their day and time of the month that they're going to meet, and the location of where the meeting will be held. So you can do this a couple of ways. So it also talks about where we post notice of the meeting. Generally, that's here at the library and on the city website. So if you all are in favor of that, somebody could just make a motion to continue in 2023 to keep all of the postings, the day and month, the day and time of the meetings all the same, and that will cover us for that.
Okay, so and just to clarify that, when you're talking about postings, you're talking
Just on
about
the board.
out here on the board,
Yeah.
where the agenda and
Yeah.
the minutes get posted.
Yeah.
And what goes to the city? Just the minutes?
No, the city now uses a system that's called agenda management. And all meetings of the city are posted on there, both with the current agenda and then any information that might be sent out in a packet, and the minutes are added the next month after you've approved them. So all the minutes that you approved this evening, once we get those signed, those will get posted to that agenda management, so that any member of the public can go in and look at what's been going on with any of the advisory boards. It's the same location as where all the city council meetings are posted as well.
Okay, so is what we've been doing with respect to agenda, has that been satisfactory to the city?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so they're okay with that aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So the present program is generally okay, it's just
You just have to
formalizing it
yeah.
each year?
Yes, each year,
Each year.
each January, we're asked to do that.
Clarifying question. Do we also put a posting on paper anywhere in the city office?
It goes on the entryway on the west side as well over there.
And do we list the event itself on the library's online calendar?
It's on the city calendar.
But not
Which
the
is-
library's event
Well,
calendar?
that's a good question.
Are they different?
Not really.
Okay.
It's more like on a filtered view. So if you were as a citizen to go look just on the city's calendar, you'll see everything. So that would include library events and and meetings.
But if I'm going through the library website and I
Yeah.
look at your event calendar.
So that may be, and that's what I'm not sure, that may be filtered to just programs and events
Right.
on our end. So I can look and see.
So we're really seeing a layer
Yeah.
of the city that
Yes.
we're bringing in the city's calendar.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have experience in that regard when you were trying to figure out how often we met and things like that? Were you on the library's calendar and were you satisfied?
I didn't go through the library's website to find out information about this board. I went through the city website. And this is, I'm just new and getting used to a city where the library is under that umbrella. So it makes sense to me the way it is now. And it depends on our strategy if we wanted there to be a greater awareness, a more general awareness of this group and its work. Would there be a benefit to having it more visible in the library's calendar?
I am on the library's calendar right now, and it is not appear.
Okay.
That helps clarify it all.
They can do it, but we don't have a choice of not using the city system to post that. We're directed that that's how we have to do that. But anywhere else, we can certainly, if nothing else, say 7 o'clock tonight is the, library advisory board meeting.
You may get more attendance from the public.
Especially when some of this stuff gets cooking.
Right, that's a good point.
So I think the question, does 7 o'clock on the third Monday, that still works for everyone?
Well, let me throw in some additional information. Maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, when Scott first came on the board, he had a problem with the fourth Monday of the month because it represented a conflict for him, and the board moved to the third Monday. If we're going to do this, do we have a position as a board? Do we want to go back to the fourth Monday? Do we want to keep it where it's at? Does it matter?
Well, it
Maybe
seems
people want to weigh in.
I can't be there on the 4th.
You cannot.
No, I have golf board meeting that
So we should move it to the fourth.
Yeah. John is heavily to be here.
I feel like we do get hit by the federal holidays fairly often on that third Monday.
I also have a fourth Monday conflict for about half the year.
A conflict is a struggle and a clash of interest, opinion, or even principles. Conflict will always be found in society. As the basis of conflict may vary to be personal, racial, class, caste, political, and international. Should I keep going?
No. I apologize.
This is a question, because I'm just new enough to not know, does it have to be on a Monday? I know you wouldn't do it on a Tuesday, obviously.
It would not have to be, no.
And does it have to be at 7 p.m.? Is that regulated by the?
No, that, whatever works for everybody.
I'm just wondering if a time change would be convenient to anyone. I couldn't do much earlier, but 6:30 actually works as a start time for me, a little bit better than 7.
I can do that.
I have a intricate series of childcare situations that are currently set up around the third Monday, 7 o'clock thing, but again, I can try and figure those out if it's much better for others.
No, not much better, just a tiny bit better. I'm fine sticking with the third Monday at 7 p.m. That seems to work well for everyone.
I mean, I don't really feel I should have a voice in this because I don't plan on attending many more of these, but if you all want to keep it the third Monday this year and see how it is next year, you're welcome to do that. I'll give you a whole year to think about it.
Yeah.
So could we have a motion that says we'll keep the meeting third Monday at 7 o'clock at the library?
I motion that we'll keep the meeting the third Monday of the month at the library at 7 o'clock. Was it?
Yep.
Second.
All in. I didn't ask you, Susie. I hope that's okay with you.
Catherine, were you speaking or just voting because you're muted?
No, it works for me, it's fine.
All right, thank you. Sorry to.
I was just trying to ask if what we had decided about offering the hybrid option. I know we said we were going to do it for the next couple of months, but do we have to make a decision about that in terms of this also?
Nope, we can keep it this way as long as you all want to do that.
Great.
Okay, does that give you what you need
Yep.
then?
That's good.
And please make sure that gets in the minutes and your last official act.
Oh, one question. If they were to put the link, like to the hybrid meeting on the library calendar, do you think it's safe? You know, because I've been in meetings where things have gone horribly wrong.
No, if we're gonna open it up, it's a whole different process. Right now, only us in the room are invited to join on Zoom. If we wanted to make it a public meeting where people could call in, we will have to get other folks to help us monitor that to get them in.
What's the thought on that from the group?
My first thought is, it seems to work this way, to keep Zoom only between this board, and then of course, members of the public are welcome to join us here in person.
I'm typically a fan of meeting in person because I just think you have a better meeting in that regard. So I understand that given the way of the world now, the hybrid option is more flexible, but I'd rather just see us meet in person.
Yeah, I think for me the question is just, if we're saying it's open to the public and it's a hybrid meeting, is it not honest of us to not make it truly open to the public and provide that link, or is it okay to not?
So my preference would be if you want the public to be here, we couldn't do hybrid anymore. It just is too many staff hours to make that work, and then it's not live either. It's generally still recorded. There is a way to do it live, but there's generally just the city council and the planning and zoning done that way at this point in time in COVID. It was done prior, but most boards are going back to hybrid like we're doing, or in person.
I'm fine doing it this way. I agree with Cynthia, but I just want to make sure that it's all, above board, I guess.
If the public wanted to come, they could come here and still interact with you and Susie.
So do you think it's fair then to say that the board will continue to add a Zoom option for board members as needed on a monthly basis?
Right, as situation dictates.
That we continue to monitor whether that's necessary or not anymore.
Okay, I think we've gone through the agenda as I understand it. Does anybody from the board have any additional comments they want to make? Susie, do you have anything you want to?
You know what? I forgot to mention the ward redistricting. So we do have a meeting, and I wrote it down over here. Where'd it go? Later this month, on the 28th at 10 a.m. at the Civic Center. There, from 10 to 11:30, there will be a ward redistricting open house. So we're looking to redistrict our Ward 1, 2, and 3 boundaries. So if anyone is interested in attending or offering feedback, please come.
Where did you say that was, Susie?
I'm sorry?
Where did you say that was going to be conducted? The meeting?
It's on the 28th
Where?
of this month at 10 a.m. at the City Hall.
City Hall.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have any comments? Thoughts? Welcome again. Appreciate you joining the board. With that, I'm going to call the meeting in adjournment at 7:56. It's a lot faster than you, Scott's not.
Thanks, everybody.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Thank you.
Nice
Take
to
care.
virtually meet you.